Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Green Factor, a show where we talk about green design and the business of sustainability. I'm your host, Haris, the Green Carpenter, and today we'll be talking about personal wealth in 2022. With me today, I have a guest, Mr. Gopi. So, Mr.
Hey man,
Gopi
hey Hari, good afternoon.
ha- have been a friend of mine for quite some time, and he's also part of my mastermind group, the hexagon. So he is he is an expert in financial, especially more on the personal financial. So today, one of the reason I bring him in because I feel that we need to have more of this conversation, especially for business owners and social enterprise, that we need to take care of ourselves, not just our mental and physical health, but also our financial health. And if we can take care of all that, then we can be the best that we can and contribute more to the cause. So, hi Gopi,
Hey man, what's up? What's up?
how are you today?
I'm fine. How are you, Hari?
Good, eh? I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for coming in. I think before we go into the topic, I feel like the viewer or listener would like to know more about you. I also want to know more about you and your journey and how you are where you are right now.
Okay, so as the title reads, I'm a unit trust consultant with Public Mutual Berhad. So I've been in this business for since 2014 December till now lah. Okay. I'm actually not a finance educated guy. Uh, my actual background is I'm a biotechnologist. So if today I was still in my previous field, I should be working on something on COVID lah for now. So you're talking about COVID related matters. I know a bit of detail about it lah. Okay. So how did a biotech guy become a finance guy? Well, uh, when you're in the research field, finance is not one of the major things you deal with. You are more into a passion, into research, into finding new things and whatnot. So I was in that. I was working in UM. I was working in IMU, uh, fulfilling my passion per se. But life hits you, and then you realize that eventually money is also a very critical factor. This came in when I had a family tragedy, and not tragedy, but there was a situation where money was required, and I, being the eldest, also I could not really help out much because my income also was very low. If I want to be frank, my income was RM 1,500 at that time as a researcher, biotech, 7As, 3Bs, SPM student, whatnot, semua tu you dapat 1,500. So 1,500. So when that point of time, I started looking at maybe money is there is more to money than just being a rich man and what lavish lifestyle and whatnot, because there are other things that do not include those things but are important as well, like health, family and whatnot, education. So I started looking into finance, money, how do you earn it, what's going on, and I did not have any background. My parents are not businessmen or anything, and they are very limited in investment, actually no investments, like minus maybe the house they are staying in. So nobody to turn to for knowledge, so I go looking, searching for knowledge out there, just like how you all are here now in LinkedIn or whatever. And I go looking, and I came across property, and I read the books. One of the book was by an advisor for Robert Kiyosaki. So you all know Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read a book that was the property advisor for Robert Kiyosaki. So ABCs of real estate investment. So I read that. Then I went for some seminars here and there. Joined some property seminars. Bought my first property with that 1,500 pay, um, and started realizing that about investment, wealth accumulation, money. And along that path, I came across share market, unit trust, and two in one happened whereby I started advising people on the importance of investment, and also telling them what I've been doing, my journey, and all that. Eventually, I thought, if I'm doing this, why not do it as a career? And when the student is ready, the teacher appears. So my upline wanted me to invest in unit trust at that point of time. And I told him, nah, I don't want to invest. How long have you been doing this business? He said 9 years, or 8 or 9 years. So I said, if you can survive in these 8 or 9 years, then I want to do it as a business, as another form of income generation. And I went in and have not looked back. So that is my journey from biotech all the way to Unitas, my search for knowledge on investment and wealth and whatnot. And now today I'm here as a Unitas consultant.
Hmm. So I think you share a lot of similarity with everyone else. Like for us, we don't really know much about money growing up. We are not teach about money at school. For us, we know that okay, do your study, get your degree, master, whatever, and go work, and then you'll be sorted for
Alright.
life. And I think that one that advice have worked for our parent generation,
Old
but
school
I don't
advice,
think now
which work.
now it
Uh,
doesn't work anymore. So in that way, since you have been doing it this for quite some time, how do you define wealth?
See, for me, wealth, actually, it's a very simple equation. Wealth is the total. If today, okay, if today you were to run away from this country, let's say you're gonna run away from this country, and you need to pack everything you have and convert them to money and run. You cannot bank transfer lah. You need to pack them in bags or in a ship, and you have to
This
run.
is like life and death ni.
That type of thing lah. Like you need to run lah. Okay. At that point of time, if you liquidate everything that you have, and that amount that you have in your hand, and we're not talking about health is wealth and all that other wealth. We're talking about pure money. The amount that you have at that point of time is your wealth, because that money, in some form or other, is what has been generating for you whatever it is, a place to stay, or money, passive income, or career, whatever. So if you sell your business, the amount your business is worth, the amount of money you have in cash anywhere, stocked up in share market, in FD, in unit trust, in crypto, whatever it is, you sell. And then all other forms of assets that if you sell, put together the value, that is your wealth, your wealth. So normally what I tell people is, sit down at the start of your day, planning your wealth. This is the first thing you will do. How much do you how much are you worth? What is your wealth as of now? So Harith could be 400,000, Gopi could be 300,000 after we do all the calculations. So today that's your figure. And how do you take this to the next step? Double it, or add 30%, or add 10%, or add four times the amount. That's your next step. So wealth is the total assets that you have all liquidated in cash. How much will the value be?
So if the asset that we have is very difficult to liquidate, for example, like to liquidate a house, it takes a while, right? So how do you see that? Is it also part of your immediate wealth?
It's not immediate wealth, it's still wealth, because I gave the figuratively, I gave that because it's easy to calculate based on that, the analogy of, if you
If you
liquidate
want to
everything
run,
now, how much.
if you want to run, you
uh,
cannot sell your house.
Okay. So when you're on a run, of course, you cannot sell your house. But when you look at statistics, probability, how often is someone on the run? And if you are really planning to grow wealth, unless you are, okay, let's put it like this lah. The fellows who really run, they've already got billions and millions. So for them, it's not a matter of calculation. But the true, like property is wealth, is wealth. But you must understand, when you do liquidate the property, you got to pay off the bank first. So you don't, if even if your property is valued at 5 million, you are not running away with 5 million. You're running away with what you get in excess after making all the payments. So that is the actual value of you. Uh, but some people change it slightly because what they do is when you have 5 million in wealth, that 5 million is they use that as the basis of calculation for the returns on their what do you call it, rental. So when you have 5 million in wealth, you use it as a calculation for return of rental. But
Mm.
in truth, how much money do you have is based on actually your liquid cash lah. Uh,
Mm.
Liquid cash,
Okay,
your
so
total after you liquidate.
yeah, so that is why I think like right now why I ask you this is because for us to have a clear picture of what, because I think a lot of people talk about wealth, wealthy and all that, but the definition too. So now it's more of a the whole net worth of whatever you have, right? And
Yes.
you've touched a little bit about financial planning. I want you to explore more in terms of what actually is financial planning.
Okay, this financial planning is a very big topic, and then it is talked by many people. You have unit trust consultants, you have property agents, you have insurance agents, you have certified financial planners, registered financial planners. Uh, Many people who are involved in financial planning teaching you many things, and then you hear it very often on TV, this and that, whatnot. Simple. The word says financial planning, meaning plan your finance. That's a straightforward answer. So when what involves in finance, your money, your in and out, your cash flow and your wealth, your cash flow and your wealth. And normally financial planning is more skewed towards your cash flow. So when you're planning your finance, it generally is more towards your cash flow. Your investment, I will touch later, doesn't come so much into your cash flow. Your investment is generally more to your net wealth. Here's a formula for if those who want to know something. Cash flow net Your net cash flow equals to your income minus your spending. Okay, your net cash flow is your income minus spending. Your net wealth is your asset minus your liability. So
So
financial.
yeah,
All
in a
right, go
way,
on.
you are saying when you talk about financial planning, you should like focus more on the cash flow, and in terms of the investment, is a separate kind of thing. Is that what
Yes,
you're saying?
yes, yes,
Mm.
yes. Because why I say that is because try doing this. Walk into a bank, tell them you're earning 900, you spend 600 every month, and you want to buy a property. The bank officer will say, "Are you kidding? Are you joking? I know today is not April 1st. Why? You don't have cash flow. You don't have money. Actually, in truth, it's nothing to do with the investment. No, you don't have money itself, or you're earning 20,000. Again, you walk into the bank. You want to buy investment property, per se lah. Bank officer check. Supposed to be 60%. You are at 98%, 95% expenditure. Can you buy anything? Can you increase your wealth? No. So, and then third thing, when you have financial difficulties in your house, it very often revolves with you having a very negative cash flow. Because people who have positive cash flow, eventually this is the question they ask me, "Hey Gopi, I got excess money, what to do with it?" Which means you don't have a problem. So when you want to plan your finance, the first place to attack will always be a cash flow. So that's the thing. So when you talk about cash flow, you're talking about as I said, the formula is income minus expenditure. Simple mathematics is if you increase the income and you reduce the expenditure, the gap is bigger, which means you have more money as excess. If the income gets lower and the expense gets higher, then you are break even or you go into negative. So income and expenditure, if you can push this further, you get more savings. So ways to increase, ways
You
to
want to
increase income.
increase the gap. Mm.
So find ways to increase your income and find ways to reduce your expenditure, and you start seeing a more significant amount of savings every month. And then from
Mm.
there starts your other part of your whole thing is your investments. You're putting away
Mm.
that excess to do something else for you.
Mm, yeah, so that is actually the one of the next question I want to ask is like, how can we plan out our financial goal? Right now, we have understand that okay, in terms of when we talk about financial planning, we need to look into our cash flow and try to increase the gap. But um, what else, or how can we? Okay, I want to start to do my financial goal from zero.
Okay.
So how can
Okay.
you plan out?
Actually, to as a what do you call it, disclaimer first, everybody, every one of us, actually has the same goal. There's no different goal. It is just that we all either started at a later stage. Someone started later. Someone started earlier. Someone had more when they started. Someone had less when they started. That's the only difference. But in reality, this I learned from another person. If you reach a certain point in your life, most of the needs are met. Most of the needs are met for the same amount. As expensive as a roti canai can be, someone with the title of Tan Sri and someone with no title can more or less afford the same roti canai, no matter how much money they have. It can be much better dough, much better butter. You will be paying for the service, but the roti canai taste, flavor, the size should be around the same one. So there's no big difference there. But what happens is, when you start off the goal, you need to figure out what is it that you want first. The first step, what do you want first? Some people say that no, I'm not in for the riches. I don't want a Ferrari. I do not want a mansion on top of the mountain. I don't want that. Fine, no problem. Some people say they want that. Hey, I want to live the life. I don't want to. I just stay in one country. I want to stay in many countries. I want to have property all over the world. So you figure that out first. How much you want? Okay, you figure that out first, and that is very personal. It very depends on you, and it can change also. Today you can tell me, Gopi, I only want 1 million lah in the next 20 or 30 years, whatever. And then halfway through, suddenly you realize that, oh no lah, I like this type of car. I like the Bentley. I've always wanted to have a Bentley, but no lah, I never have money. Maybe I want to increase my financial goal to buy an expensive car. So you might change along the way for whatever reason, good or bad. So first, what is it you want? Set that up. Second, where are you at now? That was just now I mentioned. What is your today's net wealth? Because you only can buy certain things at a certain cash flow and a certain net wealth. So when you know what is your cash flow today and what is your net wealth today, and you have a target of what is your net wealth going to be in 10 or 15 years or 20 years, and what is your cash flow going to be like in the next 15 or 20 years, then we start the planning. So again, you need to know the end goal and you need to know the starting. End goal is where you want to be. So I'm going to give an example of myself. As a I want to, my target is, it's not very big, it's not very small. My target is 10 mil. As of 50, by the age of 50, my target is to have 10 mil net wealth total, everything put together, 50. Um, and today I'm 38. And for the 10 mil to happen, I need to know how much I'm at today. So today's number, I'm aware of the number, and based on that, I have calculated, okay, how much I need to put aside, how much I need in properties, how much I need in unit trust, how much I need to just put away every month, so that by the time I am 50, all of these combined together equals to 10 million. Why I say the goal should be like that is, assuming when I'm 50, I have the 10 million. If I were to just enjoy 3% from all of it, let's say unit trust gave me 3%, property rental gives me 3%, FD gives me 3%. So we average it out. Let's say I get 3%, I get around 3 mil, 30 million, 30 million. No, sorry, 300,000. I get the 3% is 30K, 300,000 a year generated passively from all these various investments. So by the time I'm 50 plus, I'm already looking at a steady flow of cash given to me. So that's why know your end, know your start, and then from there you start planning. So the numbers are the percentages like you talk about 6%, 4%, 5%, 8%, 10%, all immaterial in sense of where you put. They are more or less close by. Your target is currently where I am, where I want to go. Figure that out, and it's much easier.
Understand.
Uh,
So we have laid out the plan. We know where we're heading. We know where we're starting, and we have started to plan like increment and all that, the calculation. So one of the things I noticed that a lot of people will go to, or the immediate idea is to generate wealth is through investment. But not a lot of people have that money to start investment. So I think that is why the reason that it's important for you to have the gap, the income gap, the you earn and what you spend, and then that is the excess money you play around to grow your wealth. So when we talk about where to start in terms of investing, it might not be the investment itself. The thing is to get that excess money, right? So generate excess money, then that money can be used for investment. So the next question is like, how should we approach investment? Because when we talk about investment, there's a lot of different things. There's like the high risk investment like crypto, forex, those kind of things. There are also the one that is stable like ASV, like unit trust, and all these things. So how do you uh, what is your advice in terms of approaching investment?
okay. Yeah, this question actually it is it has taken a wrong. Personally, for me, I feel investment. The word investment has taken a wrong turn. You see, what has happened is that when you want to when you're talking about investment, the real underlying reason for investment, put aside all these percentages that you gain and whatnot, the real underlying reason for investment is to avoid inflation, to overcome inflation. Is in bahasa you say you don't, for me I always tell people you don't want your duit berkarat, you don't want your money to rust over time. So what you do is you're going to place it somewhere where after that 10 years or 15 years you worked hard, you put aside money, you have half a million, you have 10,000 whatever amount, and then you don't want after 20 years for that amount to be insignificant. So investment is actually to protect money that you have accumulated. That is the first underlying thing. So but when you start going into the like, oh, I want to invest, you see, you started off with what? Not everybody can invest. No, everybody can invest. The problem is everybody thinks investment is only crypto, unit trust, share market, and have to put big amounts. No, investment is you first invest in your cash flow. The moment your cash flow is done, put aside money in all these places, not just in one. Put aside your money in all these places. All of them will generate income or generate wealth depending on the situation at that point of time. The first thing is to handle your cash flow. Handle your cash flow, then start looking into investments. You see, people say risky investments. Why risky? The term risky comes the moment you want fast money. Most investments, if given time, any form of investment, property, unit trust, share market, hedge funds, whatever, a lot of investments, if given time, they generally make a certain percentage. Definitely better than what do you call it, inflation or FD rates. Most investments make money. The risk factor comes in when you put in the money today, hoping that in 6 months you can take it out, and then in the third month something happens and you lose the money, and thus it's volatile, so you consider it risky. The term risky comes in. But my question is, Are you planning to put in your 100,000 and become a millionaire in the next 6 months? This is where I digress. I totally go off the chart. Investment is a place to hold your money for those who have it, to grow it. But the fastest way to grow your money is always through your cash flow. So think about this and see. Yeah, I only can give. I like giving personal examples because it's what I did and what I know. At one point of time, for me to save 100 ringgit was so difficult. Was so difficult. And if I put 100 ringgit a month, I will get around 1,200 a year. Even if you gave me 10% or you gave me 100% also, I would have made only 1,200 that particular year because I only put in 1,200. But what I did was I reduced my expenditure. I started having cashback credit cards. I will use Petron cards to get the 45 ringgit. My cashback is close to 80 ringgit sometimes a month. I used to save on so much of things. Every month I could save like 300-400 ringgit. Okay. At the same time, I worked hard at where I am at this current industry, and I pushed my income by at least 2 to 300 every month. Increased it. 8 years later, because of that gap, I put 1,000 plus a month away. That equals to 12K in 1 year. If I had continued putting 100 ringgit a month only, focusing so much on trying to get the investment to grow and less time on actually making money for myself. Today, actually, I still focus a lot on increasing my cash flow. Because if my cash flow increases and I'm able to save up 10K, I think this year's the current 1,000 ringgit a month means nothing when I can start saving 10,000 a month. Suddenly I jump forward. At that point of time, I don't really worry for 7%, 8% interest. For me, 6, 4% all okay already because I'm making 10K a month on savings. So again, I go back to the start of when I was talking about this. Investment is a place to keep aside your money to avoid uh, the devaluation of your money. There are a few places to put it. Property stands as a very good asset that is solid and is time proven. So you have an asset there no matter what happens, and at any point of time, it's generally positive. 80 to 90% of the time and above is positive cash flow, okay, positive in its returns, okay, and you get rental and it's one of the best. Then followed by a unit trust, share market, you have liquid cash. If kept into like blue chip investments and whatnot over a long period of time, you get liquid cash. So you have both. You have one that is solid because you see when you need emergency money for, let's say, example, things like your pet has an issue or you met in an accident, you have to pay upfront first before you can claim back. All this requires immediate liquid cash. So you can't really cut the kitchen and sell for 40,000, right? So you need to use liquid cash that is in the anywhere. Okay. Yet at the same time, if you think that, oh no, like, Gopi, I'm going to need this for emergency, I don't want to keep all this in unit trust, you never know when the emergency is going to come. When the emergency comes, use the money, it's okay, but normally I will keep it into these time investments. That's all. That's the reason why you spread it out. You spread it out because of the benefits the different investments give. Crypto, other forms of investments. If you ask me on truth, it is very close to gambling. It's not gambling. This is going to get me a lot of haters. It's not gambling, but it's very close to gambling. I myself have put money in crypto. I've made money. I've also lost money. I put money in hedge funds also, and so on and so forth. But the thing here is that it's not a predictable returns on a daily basis for the next 20 years. So I cannot depend on it. If today I do a projection for 20 years of my plan of my net wealth, I want to grow it, how am I able to make that prediction based on crypto and what do you call it? Very high risk investments, things that are very volatile. It's a bit difficult. I still can put in the money. I can assume it will grow, but how much and when and how, I don't know. So that is why I prefer to use those that are more steady and that are predictable, because then I can actually write down on a piece of Excel sheet and say, okay, I'm going to get this 5%, 5%, 5%, or 10%, 10%, 10% for the next 20 years. This is what the plan is like. So invest in all areas. Invest in all areas, but focus on your cash flow. Investment is only to avoid your money from being devalued by inflation.
Hmm.
Did I answer the question?
Interesting. Yes, yes, yes. I think so. So like yes, you have talked about a few types of investment, the difference between cash flow and investment, which one you should focus on, and those kind of thing. I think it's quite, in a way, a good view to have as well, because normally when you talk about financial, it always like jumbled up. So now you're seeing like, okay, cash flow is something, work on it, and then investment is something. But I want to, this is one of the last question, is like, I want to you to explain more about unit trust, because unit trust, we, a lot of us have experience dealing with unit trust agents and all that. Like, but why do you think unit trust? Why do you stay in the industry?
Okay, this is the, so for me, this is the best question lah. I love, because you see, I even have family friends who, when I talk to them, they say, "Oh, you're in a very niche market, niche this one, unit trust only, not doing insurance, not doing property, insurance or anything." Say no, no. You see, I will first explain why I believe in unit trust, not as the only investment, of course not, but as one of the good ones, is because every remiser or anybody who's investing will always tell you this one golden word. It's actually two words. They'll put a dash in between. It's called long term. The word long term will be thrown around everywhere. No, invest for long term. You can't see results immediately. Another story that they'll always tell is, even us as a sales agent, they'll teach us at the beginning itself. You know, the durian tree takes 5 years to grow, then only you pick the fruit. So you have to allow it time to grow. Or the bamboo shoot, it takes time to grow. You have to continuously feed it, then only to grow. So everybody throws this word long term around. If you have noticed it, property, long term, correct? Can you make money from property immediately every year? You pay rpgt, so you already reduce your returns already. So you can't, most of it is always long term. So when you're talking about long term, uh, means that it's more like you put it in and forget about it, correct? Basically everybody's telling you to do that in any form of investment. You letak dalam tu and then biarkan dia can grow. So when it comes to that, why do I want to monitor it myself? Why do I want to waste time? Okay, for example, Harith, are you okay, I know your background lah, okay, but as I know your background, but assuming, let's say you are a grocery shop owner, you are very good at what you do, or you know your job in and out, but what do you know about stock market or property and all this stuff? So why not just leave it to someone who knows how to do that? Like when you have a medical issue, you generally go to a doctor. Do you ever complain that the doctor is charging you 200 ringgit, 300 ringgit, 5,000 for this, 2,000 for that? No, because you know their service is really good, because that's what they studied. And it's going to be a headache for you to try and sit down and try and figure all this out by yourself, even though you can Google it now. That everybody Googles themselves. uh, so the same goes here. So I thought to myself, why not let somebody else like somebody else handle the investment? It's going to be long term, let it be there, and I focus on earning money. Whenever I have excess cash, I put it in there. So the second thing I liked about it is it's illegal. It's not some form of scheme or whatever, whatnot. So there's a track record to it. It is government approved. You cannot just simply play around. The longevity of it, that means it's been there for like, well, since unit trust per se 1959 masuk Malaysia. In the world it's even longer. 100 over years, and then it is very much rooted deep into every economy in every country. It's impossible to uproot because it's involving shares and companies and the whole system, economic system, which is if you take it off, you basically telling that no more share market lah. So it's there. So I can trust that whatever I'm putting in now is going to be there 5 years from now. It's going to be there 10 years from now. It's going to be there 20 years from now. Because as I said, we are planning for 20 years. I need something that can guarantee me that 20 years from now it will be there. For example, if I were to ask you a question, will Bitcoin still be there 20 years from now? Most people will say should be, but no one can give me in writing and sign it off saying that yes, it will be there. Because it's not entrenched deep into our culture yet, into our system yet. It's still on the surface. So if I based my entire wealth on that, it's a bit risky. Whereas this is so deep in our system, it yes, of course, there's always a 2-3% chance that something new in out of the box came and vanishes, changes the whole system, but it'll be there. So my trust in its longevity, my trust in the actual company, so unit trust is there. So it allows me for time to focus on other things. I invest, but I personally felt that instead of just investing in unit trust, since I've been into many different investments, I took up the license. I took up the license because for every amount that I manage, because I'm managing it, I get a certain passive income from it for the amount you manage. This is the biggest plus point of the unit trust industry as a career. Because as I said, cash flow, going back to my starting, I focus a lot on cash flow. So I want to make sure as much as possible my cash flow is as automated as it can. So passive income is the only way to automate your cash flow. So let's say you put in money into FD, the returns from FD is passive. So that's cash flow, automated cash flow for you. If you put money into property and you get rental and the rental higher than the loan, so that is automated income for you also. Uh, so like that, I like this because for the assets that I manage, the amount of money that I manage, I get a passive every month. So even without managing other people's money, if I manage my own money, I get returns on my funds. At the same time, I also get the small passive on the side. So I prefer this because as an investor, assuming I'm an investor with a license lah, a licensed investor, means I have my own investments in unit trust, but I'm also having the license. So because I have the license, I benefit, I get added benefits from the company, and the license senang je. So that was the reason. That's why I like unit trust and I stick to it. And I want more people to know this because I see a lot of people. Why I'm sticking to it? That's the last part. I see a lot of people either on the two ends of the spectrum. The ones who totally tak tahu, don't know anything about investment, and the ones who know a lot. And then there's two. So the ones that know nothing, they are very easily conned, and they panic easily when it's very high risk because for them uh, they lack the knowledge. So the moment something changes, they get so they totally don't want to take anything, and they miss out and they lose to inflation. They end up putting in money like FD and less than FD. They play this thing in Indians called kutu. I don't know if Muslims or other races have this
Kutu,
thing where
kutu.
they kutu they where they put money as a group and go no interest, no, it just force the when I ask people why, or force savings. But if you can force savings into unit trust also, what deduct from the thing, but they're scared. So I want to educate them to come out of that, go into something a bit better so that you don't lose the inflation, because ultimately I stick to my rule that you need to fight inflation, that's all. Then there's another group that are very knowledgeable, that totally abhor unit trust. because too slow lah bro, this one all I put into crypto today tomorrow saw crypto bitcoin man. This one of course yes, I also made money. I made money. I'm not going to say it's wrong, but I would challenge you, take lah your entire wealth and put there. You don't dare, right? Because you yourself have the doubt in you that this might not last. So as you accumulate wealth, there has to be somewhere that I have an example, quick example. Uh, this person who totally does is very rich, but he doesn't believe in anything except for fixed deposit and property. So when I approached him for unit trust, no way, no way. There's totally no way. He his nephew tried out a small amount with me, very small amount, negligible amount for the amount they actually have. But after a few years, when I showed them, and he forgot he had, I used to update him always. So one of the days when I updated him, he's like, "Oh yeah, I actually forgot about this money that I put." So he said, "How much I put?" He asked me. I told him how much he put, and then how much you have now. I said, "You have this much." I said, "You overtaken FD already, and you could, and as since you don't need the money, see, since you forgot about the money, it has grown on its own on the side while you were doing whatever you want to do." So that's what I like about unit trust. You put aside, forget about it, go and do your other business, earn more income, focus on your social media postings, your networking groups and whatnot, and meet and then do all that, earn as much and then put aside here. So I like that about unit trust. It allows the poorer people to, the non-knowledgeable or poorer people to invest in something that is not so risky yet gives better returns, and it gives a less headache for those who already have knowledge and put it in here and save up more cash for themselves and grow their net worth. That's why I like unit trust. It's
Awesome,
a very
awesome.
optimum center lah.
Mm. So it should be one of the things that under your tool, right?
Yes, it should be. It should be.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things that we can talk about. We haven't talked about compounding, the power of compounding, and those kind of things. But because we are at end of the show, we so if anybody wants to know more about this, you can connect with Gopi at LinkedIn. Right now, if you want to be to do it as a career, you can talk to him, or if you want to have to invest, you can also talk to him. And I think that is one of the reason also why I bring you to the show is because I feel like a lot of people have misunderstanding of personal wealth, especially in this current age where there's a lot of things happening, there's a lot of opportunity, but at the same time there's a lot of scams as well. So thank you
Make
very
it
much
simple.
for
Make
yeah
it simple. I feel
yeah
make it simple. You complicate your investment process and the whole thing with so much of jargons, management 0.6% here, 33% there, or you put here percentage and all that, and you mess up your mind, and eventually you're taken for ride by the financial planners because they will tell you whatever, they'll take the charges, or you never do anything because you're so confused. Just make it simple. Earn my extra income, reduce your expenditure, take the amount, put aside. Don't look too much at, oh, I put property, I prefer property, I prefer. Put a little bit. I have property, I have unit trust, I have crypto, I have FD, I also have in money markets, those are another tool, but their money is spread out. And as and when I need, okay, money market for urgent expenditure. Unit trust, maybe I'm going holiday 5 years later, I have my some good profits in unit trust, I use for the holiday. Benda macam tu. Make it simple. Don't complicate your life, which is already complicated, as you can know with the last 3 years events and all that. Uh,
Yeah, so thank you very much again, Gopi, for the insight. And for everyone else, do be part of the conversation and like join our community. In Facebook, we have Green Design Malaysia and be part of the conversation. What I'm why I'm bringing Gopi as well is because financial wellness is also part of sustainability. The more we can survive in the long run, the better it is for all of us, and the more we can contribute to the cause. So thank you very much again, Gopi, and to
you're
everyone
welcome.
else Thank you very much for tuning in. If you find the content beneficial, do share it with your friends or family, and join us for next week episode. And till then, have a green week ahead. Bye bye, guys.